Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In response to my colleague on the other side of the aisle who is expressing this idea of proportionality with respect to Gaza, I think it's important that in this moment, in the face of this barbarism from Hamas terrorists, that we're careful not to use nuance too much. What we need right now is moral clarity, and nuance is not really apropos at the moment. As you said in response to my colleague, there is a lot of misinformation. Why an ambulance? Because it was full of Hamas terrorists and weapons. That's why an ambulance. Moral clarity requires that we call out terrorism for what it is. And when there are calls for a ceasefire that would only enable Hamas to reconstitute another attack, that's not appropriate either. So, Ms. Leaf, I do want to address Secretary Blinken's call for Israel to provide a humanitarian pause. We all support humanitarian assistance for the innocent, but those running Gaza do not care about humanitarian needs, as you know and as you've testified. Did Hamas prevent innocent Palestinians from fleeing Gaza City to safer locations further south in Gaza?
Absolutely.
And does this make it harder for those people to access aid?
Absolutely.
And Ms. Leaf, is Hamas actively hoarding resources to pursue its Islamic jihadist war against Israel instead of providing water, fuel, and food to those affected by war?
Yes, they are.
And Ms. Leaf, do you feel Hamas would use any pause in Israel's effort to root out terrorist cells and uncover Hamas's urban terrorist network to resupply its warfighters?
They would certainly attempt to, but that is something that I know that the Israeli government is actively considering.
So I hope that the Secretary and the President consider that when calling for a humanitarian pause. Did President Biden condition any support for Israel on the IDF engaging in a pause?
No, he did not.
Well, that's good to hear. Let me follow up on the line of questioning regarding our partner in Qatar. Of course, the Qataris have been very helpful with Al Udeid Air Base, and we appreciate that. But with respect to releasing hostages, how helpful have they been? Are they using their considerable leverage to seek the release of all hostages immediately?
They absolutely are. They've worked at it relentlessly. The problem is who they're talking to at the other end of the phone line. And it's a real question as to whether Yahya Sinwar is serious in any degree about releasing those hostages.
And is the Hamas office in Qatar seeing any pressure from the Qatari government?
Absolutely.
It's good to hear. I do think the Qataris are important partners for us, but we want to make sure that we emphasize to them how helpful they can be in this moment. They want to be kind of the Switzerland of the Middle East. They can be very, very helpful in this moment, and I appreciate us taking advantage of that relationship. Taylor Force Act, real quick, Ms. Leaf, with the war ongoing, how are we ensuring that any U.S. support to NGOs operating in Gaza are not violating the Taylor Force Act? Are we seeing any support for the families of Hamas terrorists killed during the invasion of Israel in exchange for their participation?
We are not seeing any of that, and we have asked the question and received the right assurances.
Is the administration reconsidering this idea of providing assistance to NGOs, supposedly pro-Palestinian NGOs, as a way of bypassing or circumventing the Taylor Force Act?
We do not bypass or circumvent the letter or the spirit of the Taylor Force Act.
I just think there ought to be some analysis of aid that may not go to the Palestinian Authority, but nevertheless goes to NGOs that could serve as a kind of proxy for martyr payments. And so I just want rigorous oversight from the State Department so that both the spirit and the letter of Taylor Force is complied with.
I can assure you of that, Congressman.
Finally, this issue of sanctions relief and the Financial Services Committee, we had a very important testimony about the $16 billion that was unfrozen, both in terms of the South Korea deal with the hostage deal and also the $10 billion held in Iraq to pay off Baghdad's debts for its purchase of Iranian natural gas. It's a lot of money that has been basically effectively sanctions relief delivered to Iran as a result of this administration's policies. Is the Biden administration reconsidering chasing sanctions relief with Iran? in light of the events of October 7th.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the verb you use. Is the Biden administration changing?
Chasing sanctions relief with Iran. Has the administration reconsidered that course, that policy, given October 7th and the events that have occurred?
So the monies you referred to from South Korea that have been moved to different accounts that will be put through a rigorous metered process that will only be spent on humanitarian goods, food, and medicine and so forth, that is not altered. That was an arrangement set up by the previous administration, and we are rigorously applying the same restrictions to it. The money has not moved. The monies you referred to for natural.
I'm sorry. I'm just, in fairness to the witnesses and to the other members, I want to keep this on time.
My time has expired, but I think the line of questioning illustrates the point that maximum pressure was working and moving away was the wrong move. Thanks.
Gentleman's time has expired. Chair